What's up, everyone? Sly One here, accompanied by my good friend Jacob.
What up?
And today we are doing the Hot Ones Challenge in a video game theme questionnaire, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
So let's jump right into it, starting off on the easier end of things, I suppose, with the classic hot sauce at 1800 Scoville.
Mm-hmm. The Hot Ones' own classic sauce.
Pretty mild.
Yeah, I like
It's a
that.
good starter. I like that a lot.
Good flavor too.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Down the whole one every time.
So, speaking of video games, what was the first video game you remember playing as a kid, whether that be on console, in an arcade setting?
I think the first one I really remember playing would be like Mortal Kombat on arcade. You know, like actually with the buttons and everything in front of you. So I have vivid memories of that. But the first like console game that really like turned me into a gamer was Metal Gear Solid. I guess the second one.
Okay.
But the one on PlayStation 1, and I played that like 3 or 4 times all the way through, and that's like my core memory of like the first game that really got me into being a gamer is Metal Gear Solid.
I think mine were probably maybe a little bit earlier than some of those. I think in an arcade, like my go-to was definitely like Centipede or like Galaga.
Yeah, I definitely
those.
played those too, but I think just
As far as like maybe like first console game I have like a lot of memories of, I would say it was on Nintendo. I think it was called Rampage.
oh yeah,
Where like you were like the ape or like the dinosaur and you just smash the buildings for scores.
Yeah.
Those were probably some of my first ones, I would say.
Yeah.
So moving on to our second sauce here in the lineup. This is the Dawson's hot sauce, which is a cedar smoked garlic, and this one jumps up a little bit to 7,000 Scovilles.
Nice upperage.
Yeah.
For sure. They're definitely smoky. Like
Has noticeable heat difference from the very first one.
It's not too bad. They're smoky for sure.
You know, I think I'm borderline. Almost want a sip of water, but I'm gonna resist right now. This is
Well,
too early.
It's very early.
Very early in the game.
It's like by instinct because I usually drink while I eat. I'm like,
Yep.
I need something, but no, I'm gonna try to do it good. Make my buddy proud.
So, starting off, I think we both got into video games pretty early as a kid, and PC gaming didn't really evolve to what it is today. So, what is your most memorable console and favorite console, either growing up or even in current?
I think the one I developed the most memories with was Nintendo 64.
Okay.
Hands down. Like, I'd go over and play with, my best friend growing up. We would just spend hours in his basement playing WWE games and, Mario 64 and GoldenEye, all those quintessential, like, 64 games.
Yeah.
Just grew up playing all of those for sure. That, I just started kicking a little bit there. I could feel that building. But yeah, just 64, man. Just have so many good memories of playing the Nintendo 64 and the weird controller that nobody ever really knew how to hold properly for a game.
Well, speaking of weird, like, I definitely grew up on Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
I was really big on like Sega games and Sonic and all that. So I don't know if you ever remember these, but I had a Sega Game Gear, and that was like my jam. It was the portable. It was like the size of like a VHS tape, and the screen was like an inch by an inch.
I think I always wanted one of those. Like, it was in the back of the popcorn catalog or something for Boy Scouts. I never got sold enough popcorn to get, but I remember seeing that.
It was like a massive. It was like one of the size of these like planks, basically. And your screen was just the littlest thing, but man, I love that thing. It's like it would be everywhere, for sure. So third up on our list here, where are we moving to? Looks like we are moving to a Clark and Hopkins, which is the Calabria.
Yeah.
And
chili, sun-dried tomato, garlic.
if we thought the last one was jumping a bit, this one is doubling to 15,700 Scovilles.
Yep. A little bit darker in color. That's not intimidating at all.
Good so far.
It's got more of a molasses ketchup-y base.
Mm-hmm. I have a feeling it's gonna be one of those ones that hits it a little bit.
This is when it starts sneaking up on you.
Yeah. So earlier we talked about our very first video games. What would you say, whether it be new or old, is your favorite video game, or maybe like series, just like of all time, or something that you just have maybe better memories of older ones than newer ones?
But I think that still to this day, like my most favorite video game, playthrough experience, story, the actual playing of the game, all of that still remains The Last of Us, the first one.
Okay.
It was just that story is just so difficult to think about and deal with the ending and all the other things, and it just plays out so well. It really left a long lasting impression on me, and still to this day, like I do think that it's probably just my favorite overall game from the other one I would say is this little not very well known game called Soma.
Okay.
And that's it's a short game, single player, first person, but it's like you don't have any guns, you're not violent at all, you're just kind of playing through the game and interacting with stuff, and I'm not going to give anything away because I went in that game completely cold, and if you ever play it, I highly recommend going to it cold, like don't look up anything about it, but it was just the story through that and how much like surprise and shock value of all of that, and it's a bit of a horror game, so that's probably my second favorite. I would say those two games are way up there on my list.
So I've always been a huge MMO player.
Yeah.
That was my thing. Like right after, we started, we bought the HP growing up, and we had our dial-up internet and stuff. Man, like World of Warcraft came out in 2004. Like that was it for me.
Yeah.
That was huge. That was where I made so many friends, I think, that now still play other games with me and whatnot, and it just it was such a huge impact for me that even though I don't play the game anymore, I would say that it still is somewhat of my favorite because of that, even though I don't agree with the direction they've headed recently.
Yeah.
And now I've switched to other MMOs like Final Fantasy, of course, which is, it's a good game as well.
Right.
But I think just the MMO genre has really been something that has been pretty big for me, like growing up. So.
Yeah, I never got into those as much. I remember trying to play Star Wars Galaxy.
Which surprises me because you're a very big story person.
That's true.
And MMOs is just a massive story that just
Yeah.
continues forever. So.
Yeah, I do like story gameplay for sure, but I just never really got into those for some reason.
So moving on, what are we on our fourth bottle here?
The Phoenix.
The Phoenix. This one is
Explode Melon.
by Angry Goat. The Phoenix here. You're at 39,000 Scovilles. Climbing up pretty good here.
From where we were.
This one's not as intimidating in color though.
That's true.
Looks like a plain wing.
Lighter color.
It's very deceptive though. I felt the heat pretty quick. It's like it's there, but it's not like making my mouth like explode yet.
I think that one would have to start to kick in.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So, fast forward to current times. What would be the video game that you are probably most excited for releasing, like, as of today?
I would say we're in such a holding pattern right now. Like a lot of these big games are still like 6 months to a year off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very curious about Starfield.
Okay.
I'm hoping that lives up to all the hype that's been built around it. I definitely don't want it to turn into another Cyberpunk, where we've been waiting for years and keep pushing it back, and then it comes out and it's not very complete. So I'm hoping that Starfield meets my expectations. The other one too that I've been dying, as we have all probably been dying for 10 years now, is GTA 6.
Yeah.
I'm super stoked about that. Did you see Rockstar announce that it's going to come out sometime between, I think they said, April of 2023 to March of 2024.
Yeah.
So the biggest time frame window I've ever heard of any game. Sometime in these 11 months, the game will be out. probably going to be towards 2024. I guess.
Probably.
Both of those are definitely up on my list, I think.
I think for me, my I guess desire genre-wise changes pretty rapidly. I mean, like I said, I stick pretty consistently with MMOs. I think that one game besides GTA, but still somewhat in that sort of style with like shooting and whatnot, would be Payday 3.
Yeah.
So the Payday series is
never
pretty
played.
big.
I played a little bit of the Payday series, but
Payday 2 is one of those games where like I install it and then I'm like, man, I miss playing this and whatnot, and then I kind of get like sad. I'm like, it's been out since I don't know, like 2013 or something. Like it's been out for so long, and it makes me sad because I'm like, man, I really want like the new one to come out. I want to know what it's gonna have, and I just like this. I like that type of genre game, and I think that's one of the ones I'm really most excited for. I think.
Yeah, that would be good for sure.
Moving on to the clearing out the first half here.
Los Calientes.
Ooh, Calientes.
Another hot ones, special feature that they make.
Yep, this one is not jumping up that much actually. 49,000 scoville.
Okay.
I think if we can handle that last one,
Respectable.
this one's respectable here.
It's got good flavor to it.
I do like that. It's like, I'm not gonna lie, it reminds me of like a taco with hot sauce on it.
Oh, definitely eat that one all the time.
Mm-hmm. That's not that bad. After the show's over, that bottle's mine.
I'll never be fighting with that one.
So, I know that you are a pretty big story player, but in regards to the game, is it, I find it just boring, I suppose, if it only has story. So, would you say that the story or the action is actually more important?
That's a good question. I would say that, I guess if I really step back thinking about it, like, the story of Soma is what really sells that game for me. As far as an action game, it's not like, some of these other games I've played where you're trying to shoot and, actually fight things and whatnot. You're literally just experiencing Soma by wandering around. You're still in control. And it's not like the Telltale games where you just kind of have to interact with the prompt or whatever. Like you're physically moving through the whole world. It's just not. There's no violence in it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a refreshing thing too. But it's definitely a good hybrid between the two. I mean, Titanfall 2, another really, really great single player campaign experience, and it has a wonderful mixture of a great story to it and some fantastic gameplay, some fantastic action sequences, and very memorable level where you are time skipping and some stuff like that. That's just super, super cool. But I think I really used to have both. But if I had to choose between one and the other, I'd say the story is probably the thing that makes me remember the game more is usually the story.
And I think that for me, I prefer a little bit more of the action. Like I think that story games are good, but then you have some games like Final Fantasy, for example, where the story is really great, and there are tons of people that play it, and they will just subscribe for the few months, play the story, and then they just wait for the next one.
Yeah.
But as far as like retention, I almost feel like the game itself has to have some pretty good action. I mean, games that both of us play would be like Outriders.
Yeah.
I think the story was there, but it wasn't super polished.
Right. It was,
but it does have action to keep players within the
towards
game.
the beginning. The beginning of Outriders was a little messy.
Yes.
Then it cleaned up and started to get like a better overall story and things throughout it. But
so I think that there's definitely games that are really heavy into the story that do really well, and there's games that somewhat half-ass the story, I guess, but they still do really well too. And there's some games out there like Call of Duty, for example, where it has a campaign that's like completely separate from the game, and then it has its own multiplayer. And obviously, the multiplayer seems to be more popular, but a lot of people will definitely still play the story stuff. So I think for me, I'm definitely the person that leans more towards just the action part of it.
Yeah, that makes sense based on the games you play and the way you experience them. That does make a lot of sense.
So, second half of our list here.
The one I've been looking forward to the most is Cocoa Ghost Hot Sauce.
Cocoa Ghost Hot Sauce. That is,
it's made in New York City.
This one is ramping up pretty heavily. This is not a small gap anymore.
Good.
We're moving up to 71,000 scovilles on this one. some sweetness right at the beginning there.
Definitely got some great cocoa notes throughout it.
Oh god, the heat. It's coming. Wow. All right. As far as games that you play, would you prefer solo co-op or the PvP genre? And do you have a reason for not liking the other ones?
I don't really like PvP anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly because we don't really have the time. Yeah, that's kicking up.
Yeah.
I don't really have the time to invest. And
I'm getting too old. I can't keep up with the young kids anymore.
my tongue's gone now. It's like, these younger kids have so much time, it seems, to invest in stuff like Fortnite and like Call of Duty Warzone, things like that. And like if I just wanted to jump in on an evening and play Warzone, I'm just gonna get wrecked, like 100%. And I know that, so I just choose.
So what you're saying is we need like a grandpa division
Yes,
of PvP
right.
version of games. All right, so EA, everyone out there, be sure to include like an age bracket. These guys can handle anything, and then give us like the grandpa section.
Yeah, right.
So
Just for the old people.
just for the old people.
Have a little slower reaction times and stuff. That would be great.
Can you imagine the tournaments in those? It'd be like
That would be very
it'd be
fun.
like two just old people like I'm panning over. It'd just be misses over and over. It'd be awesome.
Holy crap, that gets really hot.
it's definitely up there.
But so I think if I had to choose between my favorite, I would say probably solo. I really enjoy co-op games a lot, like playing with my best friend. I will play a lot of co-op games together, and I like those nights a lot where I actually get to share games with somebody.
Yep.
But really, since most of my game time is with a solo experience, I think that's what I've just gravitated towards over the past 5 years or so. It's just playing stuff like Half-Life Alyx on VR is so great as a single-player story, and just getting to live through all these alternate realities and worlds that I can't, like, No Man's Sky, another one of my favorites. I get to go explore space and these planets that I wish that I could go see, and I can't obviously do that in real life, but I can live through the fantasy of it in the video games and feel like I'm still exploring stuff. So I think solo is probably my favorite.
I think as far as that, I played a lot of solo growing up, but then like PlayStation 2 came out, right? And we started. Let me buy 4 controllers. Everyone spends the night at my house. We just play video games all night. Right? So I got really heavily invested into like co-op experiences just from that, and then moving to like online computer stuff. I was in MMOs, which it wasn't like it was a solo player game. You're playing with millions of people.
Lots of people.
So I just got very used to always having people around. So 9 times out of 10 anymore, like all my friends have jobs, whatnot. So like if the weekend comes around and they got stuff to do, I just sometimes don't even log into games, or I just try to find other games that like maybe I need solo stuff accomplished in and like do those sorts of things. But for the most part, I'm definitely more, I would think, co-op. I like PvP, but I can tolerate it a little bit just because I can't keep up with a lot of people.
Yeah, right. Me neither.
I'm definitely noob material. So
at this point, yes, most multiplayer games I would consider myself a noob.
Yep.
Yeah, which I'm okay with.
Yeah.
Okay.
Moving on.
Angry Scorpions.
This one is
Hyde.
number
Super
7.
cool bottle. I love that bottle.
It is a really cool bottle right there.
World
I've had Scorpion
champion
Pepper before, so I'm really
world's
hoping.
Hot sauce awards.
I'm really hoping I can handle this one. This one, Angry Scorpion is 109,000 Scoville, so we're taking another 30,000 jump on this one.
Yeah, this is gonna get crazy. That's really good flavor.
It's pretty mild right now in the front.
The Chipotle part's really good.
I feel like that evens it out a little bit, but I can feel it building. That heat's definitely building on this one.
I'm not sure how much longer I'm gonna make with that one of those drinks. We'll see.
You're not gonna make it the whole way.
I don't know. We'll find out. I'm trying.
So with all the games that we played over the course of time here, and we're old, so
Yeah.
what is probably the most disappointing game,
Oh yeah.
or a game that maybe became disappointing, I guess, to you over time?
A Way Out.
Way Out.
It's a co-op game.
Mm-hmm.
It was the guy who made A Way Out recently just did a game called It Takes Two,
Okay.
which is significantly, but It Takes Two is an amazing co-op game.
Yep.
Holy crap, that's really hot.
It is up there.
But The Way Out, it was Giles and I were, my friend and I played all the co-op games with. We were so excited for that because it was like you just had to work together to make through all these levels. Oh my god.
Don't look bad on me on this one.
And it just we got into it, and the story was terrible. Like, it was just awfully written. It wasn't like enjoyable. The gameplay was really stupid. We ended up just making fun of it the whole time.
Yep.
Oh my god, that's really hot. I definitely breathe through my nose better now.
Yep.
So yeah, now it's like a game we reference all the time about, like, is it being just one of the worst games we play. So yeah, Way Out is definitely where it's at for me. One of the most terrible. It wasn't awful, but it just wasn't nearly as good as I thought it was gonna be.
I don't really think I have a most disappointing game. I've refunded many games over the years.
Yeah.
None of them really stood out to me as memorable, but I would say that if I had to pick something, just because, you gotta imagine that I think I had 1,000 days logged into WoW.
Yeah.
And stuff. So as far as MMOs, I think that because WoW got into this weird pattern where, like, they lost a lot of their main developers, and they just got into a pattern for me where it was like they make a really good expansion and then they make a really bad one. And they made a really good one.
I've heard that about WoW.
And then, like, at some point they just happened to have a bad one, and I was like, next one will be fine. And then they had another really bad one.
That sucks.
And it just
Starts to break you.
it decimated me.
Yeah.
And a lot of my friends quit and they started playing, like, other games, or they decided, it's not worth it anymore. We started playing real life stuff. So I think that just because of that impact that it had on me, it was definitely probably one of the worst ones for me.
Yeah, right.
As much as, like, if suddenly all the developers came back and they remade the game, I would probably go back. I'd love it, right?
Yeah.
But the game is just never going to be, I guess, what it was at this point anymore.
I know what you mean by that.
This one, I think, is the one that
I'm terrified.
we are terrified of.
I think, based on how much that sucks,
I think this is going to be a drink one.
I'm probably going to be hitting probably both of those.
Really?
More
So
likely.
the bomb is something we've definitely seen a lot on the show, but this one is the bomb evolution.
Yeah.
I don't know if they made this one a little more tame. No.
I'm not sure if it's better or worse. I don't really know.
So the bomb, this one is jumping up. I mean, another 30,000 Scoville here to 135,000. And this one's gonna be rough.
Yeah, I'm gonna go all in on this one.
Are you? I was just thinking about doing, like, bites on this one. Are we? All right, I'll go all in. I'm not there yet.
It seems like they definitely made it more pleasant than the one on the show because I don't immediately want to kill myself, but you can feel that already.
Okay.
That's hot.
Wow. So, let me get the question out first. With so many advancements, just from when we were kids, right? We had, the consoles with, like, 8-bit graphics, arcades.
Yep.
Now we have PCs with 4K graphics, and then VR.
Screw you, internet.
Where do you think the future of gaming is gonna go in, like, the next 10 years?
You would say the one that makes me think until right now. Well done. As in the show, they would be having the big gongs go off, and it's like in my head constantly right now.
Yep.
I'm going for the milk. That's really hot. Oh my god, that helps so much. Not really. It didn't help at all. Future gaming. I think VR is going to continue to get better. And I think eventually, like, the crazy thing is we've always seen 20 years really a video game. 20, 25, 30 years. So by the time Hold on. Wow, that's really hot. So, by the time we're another 10, 15 years down the road from now, I think you get the feasibility of like Neuralink-based neural connections to video game environments where you are literally living the game, like connected into it.
That could be a possibility. Do you think that at a certain point like that, do you think that if that were the case, that older people, because of like brain capacities, would be still slower at video games than other people, or do you think it would even out a playing field?
I think it would. That's a really good, actually, idea. I think technically you would imagine that it would kind of level a playing field because part of reaction time things are like the connection to your brain, to your physical
that's
hands.
where it would just be instantly in the brain.
Yeah, so but if you're completely tied in all the way, you don't really have the delay of reaching out to your extremities. Like it might be, everybody can kind of play the same way. Holy shit!
It would definitely help for people who possibly were like amputees and other things like that. I think it'd be really fun for
the accessibility.
Yeah,
for that is definitely would be really, really great. I didn't like that one.
No, but it's only going to get really worse from here. So,
You're right. You really.
Our next one here on Pucker Butt, Extra Mean Green. It is probably one of the most friendly looking labels. But when I tell you that the bomb was only 135,000 Scovilles, and this friendly little bottle right here is now 702,000 Scovilles. I can only imagine that it's not going to be a great time for us.
Oh, God. Okay. I should have worn a nice hat. I'm definitely sweating into it now.
Wow. Right into it, huh? Just wash it down with some water. Speaking of our video games and our love for them, what would you be doing right now if video games did not exist? Or what activity would you spend more time in?
Honestly, it would probably be reading books. I think it's one of the things that makes me a little bummed out about how much technology we have around us now. I don't find myself wanting to read physical books anymore. Audiobooks have become great for me. I really enjoy audiobooks. But I think because I get home and it's so easy to just sit there and look at a screen, it makes it harder for me to just want to pick up a book and
I
look
feel
at
like water made it worse.
I
I think that made it spread.
Whoever makes it through this without doing
anything
is very
is
impressive.
a very impressive person.
It's very different when you're actually doing this and you're like, oh my god, how?
Yeah. The TV show, I was like, oh, I think anyone could
I
do
haven't
that.
had my ice cubes yet, but consider going to get the ice cubes. What are you talking about?
If video games exist,
Right,
reading
right.
books, I think you said. I used to spend a lot of time outside when I was younger. Ran cross country, track, things like that in school. I would definitely probably be a lot more active. Possibly playing more of my newfound hobby of disc golf. That would be an awesome thing to do. But yeah, I think whenever I was outside more, I spent more time with more creativity and more imagination. So I almost wonder if maybe having video games non-existent would have been better for me growing up overall. But I do think that the human interaction and the creative ways that video games can make a person think
that's
is,
what I love.
is
Like,
really
it
good.
really stimulates my problem-solving process. I get so much out of video games.
Yep.
That's why I choose to play those versus do other things. But I don't really watch TV very much anymore either. It's because I much prefer to engage with my media,
Yes.
and having to pick and choose and make these decisions, solve the puzzles in the game, the levels and stuff like that. Like I really get a lot more out of that than I do anything else.
Yep.
So I'm very happy that video games do still exist.
Yep.
Not my taste buds and my stuff. I don't want that anymore.
So I'm not gonna lie. Personally, I don't know if I struggled as much as you on this one. I definitely had a little bit of water there, but this one actually was a little bit more tame than the bomb.
Well,
for me.
that's what they placed that one there for a reason. Then it kind of steps back down a little bit. The bomb is just evil.
And of course, we have reached the Hot Ones last dab.
Yeah.
And as tradition on TV,
You better start shaking it.
you know that on TV we gotta put our last dab on. Jumping from 700,000 skulls
What was it?
2 million. You might as well just go out to the garden and put a whole Reaper in your face.
Yeah, this is gonna be.
Oh,
that's a good
God.
side. That's a good side of dab.
I'm not gonna lie, I tried to go small,
Yeah.
but it just came out. Oh, that's a good
That's
one.
pretty
That's
decent.
solid. I agree with that.
I'm gonna do that. Last dab of Apollo.
The last dab. Are we gonna cheers on these?
We can choose it. I put my tongue right in the dollop.
Yeah, this is great. Maybe that heat just gave me telepathic because I just remembered the last question.
Nice.
So, with how much we love video games, both of us, have you ever faked being sick to play some video games? And if so, how many times have you done it?
About 100%. Big set to play. My most favorite one was when Destiny 1 was out. I was in clan and played a bunch of Destiny. I played over
Like, it's like clearing the raids with a bunch of people
Yeah,
or something?
yeah.
Okay.
And I think it was the second full raid. That came out, and we stayed up. It dropped at like midnight, 10 or 11, something at night, and we played through till like 5 in the morning.
Yeah, I'm already out of water, but I think I'm still okay.
Trying to beat it, be one of the first teams to beat it. We didn't beat it because it was really hard. But we got to like the second to last part of it. But we spent, oh my god, hold on. We spent a lot of time trying to get through that. So yeah, I got to like 5 in the morning. I was like, I'm not done at work, and I emailed my boss. I was like, I've been up all night with a stomach issue or something. I don't know what I said. I was like, I definitely can't come into work. I'm not feeling good.
I think that for me, it happens more often than just a one-time Destiny deal. Speaking of like raids in Destiny, every time there's a new raid on an MMO, I usually schedule some of my vacation or sick time, and I'm pretty much always out for like a couple days.
I don't blame you at all. Holy crap, that's awful. It's so much harder when you don't live in a ranch.
Yeah.
Oh man,
There's a lot of different flavor profiles though, for sure.
It's really cool to experience all these different sauces.
Yeah, and this
Except
was
for
the
that
season
last.
17 kit. I don't know. Do they still sell old seasons on the websites and stuff for people?
I think you can go through it again. I think they're on 18 now. Oh, this was just a couple months ago.
But we did it. We made
We did it. We made
We
it.
finally
I
been
didn't
talking
tap
about
out.
this. We didn't tab out.
Oh man.
And that is our version of Hot Ones, the video game edition. I'm Sly1. This is Jacob. And thanks for tuning in, guys. See ya.
See ya.